Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and this is part 3 of my Valentine's Day journal. And I'm not gonna lie, I got up today and I was not feeling super inspired. I shuffled some things around here and I decided I'm gonna do a quick pocket spread just to kind of get my creativity going today. So I've got a couple of pages here. There's a printed background and then a piece of notebook paper that I've dyed with food coloring. So I'm using those as my background. And then I've got a couple pockets from my kit along with a journaling card, and I'm going to use that as a pocket today as well. So I'm going to get these inked up, maybe round a couple corners, and glue them down. All right, so I rounded the corners on the large pockets with my large corner rounding tool, and then I used the small setting for the journaling card. I want to just kind of stuff these pockets full of some things, so I'm picking out a few ephemera pieces that I think might look nice on this spread. I had picked some things out ahead of time just to give me an idea of what direction I might like to go, and I think this looks like a good start. This is just a piece of printed ephemera. I got a pack of it off of Amazon. It's got some music notes on it. Like the look of it. I tore it up a little bit. I just wanted to use that to make the fussy cut of this gentleman pop out a little bit. So I'm gonna do that there. But before I put this down, I have a strip. All I did was take a piece of coffee dyed. No, it's not even coffee dye paper, it's just copy paper. And I used a gold Sharpie to kind of put a vine pattern on there. And I kind of like how that looks, but I think I'd like to dirty it up a little bit. So let's grab a piece of paper, and I'm just going to kind of run my vintage photo ink all over this, just to make it look a little older. So it blends in and doesn't look so shiny and new. And then I'm going to hit the edges of that as well. Looks really good. I've roughed it up quite a bit. And I'd like this uneven edge to go outside. I think I'm going to bump this right up against all of these other things. Let's see how that looks from the back. See if I can kind of hold that in place. Yeah, that gives me a little something, and then maybe I'll run some trim or something up it later. Or should we leave a little gap? Let's leave a little gap. All right, so I'm just gonna grab my glue. Protect the pages underneath. I've got some vellum under there, and I don't wanna mess that up. There we go. I'm playing around with these pieces, and I think I'm going to overlap this all the way onto that trim piece I just put on. But now I'm not regretting, but noticing that I don't like how this gap looks. I think I'm going to run some washi tape right down there. And I've picked this darker purple. I'm just going to cover this gap up. A little bit of an awkward angle there. See if I can get it relatively straight. There you go. Love how shiny this washi tape is. And I like that. All right, so let's trim that up and throw a little ink onto our gentleman fussy cut here. If you've been following this series, you know that my Valentine's Day journal has kind of a romance novel feel instead of cupids and hearts and really bright reds and things like that. I just wanted something a little different this time around, and I just grabbed the idea and ran with it. There we go. I've also pulled out a couple of things that I might use to finish this page. I've got this card with the candles on it. I thought that might look nice in there, but I'm gonna want to put a tab or some ribbon or something on that. Let's do the other side first. I'll see how that turns out, and then I'll decide what kind of topper I'm going to do on this card. So I inked everything up. I found this cute little envelope from an Addon kit and decided I liked that tucked in there. I pulled in some of the browns from the other side of the page. And I have this little piece of chiffon I'm going to place right here on the pocket because I'd like to put some more embellishments on here and really make it fancy. I'm going to use my glue stick to stick this chiffon down to start because my Fabri-Tac really bleeds through this material. And this should get it to stick pretty well, and then I'll Fabri-Tac things on top of it, and hopefully that will keep it in place pretty well. So to go on top of this, I haven't exactly decided where I'm putting everything. I have this stamp with some swans on it. Let's see if I can get that up there for you. I was going to put it to the side, but now I'm thinking I might center it. And then I have some words, this little meant to be. And I don't usually center things like this, but I'm kind of feeling it. Let's see. And now we're all cattywampus again. So if we do this, then we really need something to fill in this space, to fill a space in over here. And I'd have to go rummage around and find something. So I rummaged around and I found this piece of lace trim. It's old. I think it was in my mom's sewing stuff. And it's a little chain of daisies or something like that. And I thought it would add some nice texture to this pocket. So now I just have to decide how I want to lay everything out. I want it to be layered up nicely. Something like that. Let me get some ink on these extra pieces. I'm going to go ahead and glue this little daisy down as well. I really like how this looks. It's layered. We've got kind of our threes going on here. So I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac and glue everything down. We definitely need more texture on this page. Everything's a little too flat for me. I went ahead and grabbed my 1.5 inch round punch and I punched out a piece of, like a circle from a piece of printed paper. I've got this. I think I'm gonna layer that with a button that I grabbed. So let's just slap some glue stick on this really quick. And this is gonna dress our little envelope up some, give it some personality. And then I'm just going to stick that button right in the middle of it. I know it's not a sequin or rhinestone. I haven't decided if I'm going to use any on this page yet. I'm trying not to use them everywhere, but we'll see if I make it. Let's just sit this over here while it dries. We need some more fibers, some more ribbons, things like that. I'm going to grab these two tags and let's get some holes punched in them. Should I do something on an angle? Yeah, let's get some holes punched in these, get some eyelets in, and get some ribbon on them. So I went with a purple eyelet on the candle card, and I'll grab some ribbon to put through there in a little bit. But I went ahead and did something different with the bookmark. I used my hole punch and I punched several holes next to each other and then kind of cleaned them up a bit with my scissors. I also put some distress ink on that just to kind of hide any sins or just make it look distressed instead of messy. And I thought it might be nice to put some ribbon through that was a little wider, and that way when it sticks out of the top, and I'm definitely gonna have to trim that down a bit or decide where exactly I'm putting this bookmark. So when it sticks out of the top, it's nice and flat instead of getting all crunched and bunched up. I took a look around and I did find this green ribbon in my stash. So I'm gonna layer that with this. This is a purple, it has an iridescent edge on it. I really like how shiny it is. This green does match other things on the page, but now I feel like since I'm bringing this green in, I'm going to want to do some green over here somehow. And I have a bad feeling that it's gonna be rhinestones, guys. We'll see though. Maybe it'll be a button. So now I'm going to decide how to secure this. And I think I'm just going to wrap a piece of lavender ribbon right around this and give it a little tie, and that's going to add even more texture to the top. I'm feeling a little ribbon extra today. So I've tied it in a knot, and I'm just going to trim off these edges a little bit. I made sure I didn't make my knot too tight because, again, my purpose of doing this type of hole was to keep my ribbon fairly flat so that it can not get all balled up and you can really see the whole piece of ribbon. I'm going to trim all of these at a little angle and pick out some ribbon for my other tag. Just to get a hint of green in on this side, I grabbed, it's going to be a little hard to see. Let me see if I can find something to put behind this. But I grabbed a little piece of green tulle, and it's got just a pop of that bright green color without it being all up in your face, without it being overly done. I'm just going to thread it right through. Let's give this the same treatment as the other one. I kind of like that little knotted piece of ribbon. It has a bit of an extra detail. Instead of knotting the ribbons that you've threaded through, there. Makes kind of a little tassely end. I'm pretty happy with this, but I feel like there's kind of a bare space up here, and I know I could probably just leave a little empty space, but I'm not feeling that today. So I've got this little X's and O's stamp. My sister hooked me up with a bunch of stamps, so I'm not sure where this one came from. I'm going to just tap it into my vintage photo ink, and let's try to get a little stamp here just to fill this space in and bring a little interest up there. There we go, that's cute. Okay, I grabbed another stamp really quick. It's a love stamp. I'm really resisting the urge to put a rhinestone right here, and I'm like, no, you can do one spread without a rhinestone or a sequin on it. So I'm going to hit this also with vintage photo. Make sure it's turned the right way, and let's do our love stamp right here. Oh, that's cute. I'm pretty happy with how this came out. Got my creative juices flowing a little bit. Let's see what else I can come up with, and maybe we can do something a little more exciting next. So it's been 2 days. I flipped through. I just couldn't get inspired to work on any other pages a couple days ago. So I took a break and I put together a new set of fussy cuts, hoping that would get me going. So there's a lot of stuff in this set. I'm excited to use it. Lots of really big pieces. If you're not into big pieces, that's fine. You can always print them at a smaller resolution. Instead of 100%, you can print them much smaller. I reused some cardstock there. But I've got all kinds of cool things. There's going to be a link down below. I'm going to jump right into working with some of these in my book. So this is what we're working on today. I've got a plain page here. I haven't even inked any of the edges or anything. I might not, I don't know. There's the other half of the envelope we worked on in the previous video. I've got a flap here I can work with. I just had this to mark my spot. I've got one of the fussy cuts and this bird. I'm thinking some kind of layering thing. I'm not sure yet. And then this is a pocket I made out of a doily. I've got my shaker from my last video, and I've just put a piece of digital paper in there. It's printed on both sides. It shows through. I like how the color looks. So this is where we're going to work today. I think the first thing I would like to do is work on this envelope. I want to layer up some of these fussy cuts, but I can definitely see we need to do something behind these to create kind of a backdrop. So I'm thinking let's go with a stencil and stencil in some kind of a pattern back there. stencil is pretty big. I'm just going to do parts of it and not worry about getting a complete coverage design. I just want to get the hint of something else going on here to create visual layers. So let's just let's grab a piece of paper and protect our workspace really quickly. There we go. Now we're not getting ink everywhere. And I've got a little vintage photo ink on my applicator here, and I'm gonna just lightly tap this on. There we go. Maybe let's use this part, kind of a curved pattern there. Let's grab our fussy cuts and see how we like that. I think we're getting there. I like how that looks on the outside, but I want to add some sort of paper or something behind this. Let's see, we've got this pink. This is some of that glitter cardstock that I love so much. I have a whole collection of it. And that is not quite doing it for me. Let's see what else we have laying around. Okay, I ended up grabbing a piece of, this is just a purple plain cardstock. I don't have much paper. I have a whole cardstock collection, so I use what I have on hand. And then this is a piece of gold glitter tulle. And I like, this makes it pop so much more with the dark purple. I'm going to tear the cardstock so that it at least doesn't have these harsh edges. I might make it go underneath the frame entirely. Let's see. We pull some of that off. Let's dive right in. Get some glue all over the back of our purple cardstock. Try to remember how we had it on there. And then we have this little piece here. Like that. And I should have inked that just a little bit, just to pop the edges out. It's already in, but we want the bird to be right here. It has already been inked around the edges, so I don't have to worry about that. Now let's look at our tool and our frame. So looking at this, I definitely want a little more texture underneath here. I've got some gold washi tape. I don't know if you can see that. Just some little flower patterns on it. And I'm just gonna kind of toss it in here to create some more texture. And then I want to take a look at this netting. It's a little too square for me, a tool, so I am going to just kind of cut up the edges and make them a little bit scraggly. Now I've got a rough edge on my tool. I'm going to wrap this around at some point and attach it down. I like this little bit of sparkle as it comes around. So let's position this how we want it. And I'm going to use the glue from attaching the fussy cut to hold this down. And again, I reuse cardstock a lot after I test print, so there's some Christmas patterns on the back of this fussy cut. All right, let's make sure everything's where we want it. There's no going back. And there we go. Bring this up here so you can see it a little bit. Has a lot of sparkle and shine. I like how that looks. So flipping this over, we've got this tab, and I'd like this to be a flip. So you flip it open and then you have the pocket inside. I picked out this rose ephemera card and this kind of pinky purple cardstock. I've torn a piece of that off. I'm gonna go ahead and finish tearing the edges on these. Let's try to tear in the same direction. And do I tear the rose card as well? Maybe I do. Maybe we're gonna get really rough ensembles today. Torn edges are not usually my thing, but I'm gonna try something new. And the age-old question, do we make it a pocket? Let's think about it. I'm gonna ink the edges with some purple. And let's do the same on the flower card. And I think if we just tear the top of this, we almost have to make it a pocket. So we'll do that. I'm not sure what I'll put in there, but we'll make it a pocket. Now the envelope underneath is looking way too clean. So let's grab Vintage Photo and do the edges of that as well. So we've got that. How about some words? Let's see, we should at least glue this pocket on really quickly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and commit to this. I can always stamp on top of it or add some lettering here in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on this tab. Let me move this out of the way. And that's gonna hold my netting into place as well, this gold tool. Just kind of flip that over and place this on top. Let's make sure that's tight. Give it a push. And make sure we don't glue our flap shut. Let's move this over. On the inside of this, I want to cover the inside. We've got these little glue seals on the envelope. And I have a torn piece of X's and O's paper that I think will work really well. I don't want that sticking up too much. I'm going to hide the back of this. It's white. Let's do something like that. And we want to make sure that this is going to fold still. So distress ink on the edges. I'm going to glue it with my glue stick. Make sure we're not covering up that crease, or if we are, not too much. There we go. And I'm noticing we need to hit the back of this with our distress ink as well, since we've done everything else. I definitely want to do a little lettering on here. Got some X's and O's to kind of go with our X's and O's on the inside, and a little piece of iridescent lace. It's really shiny. So I've got a scrap of that. And I'm going to glue this lettering right over top of it. Let's go ahead and leave, you know what? Let's keep tearing. Let's tear these edges too. I'm just ripping things up today. And we'll glue this down with a lot of glue to hold the lace down. Easy peasy. And I definitely want to look for one more thing to go on here. Maybe a button or a stamp or a bright purple sequin. That's what I'm going to go with. Little dot of glue. Get our sparkle in. Ooh, big dot of glue. That guy will be on there really good. And there we go. While this dries, I love the idea of adding this tiny little envelope. It's from the Spring Romance Journal Kit, and I have not glued it together yet. I've got it folded up, a little purple ink on the edges, and I'm trying to create layers again. So as you're flipping through, there's different layers of interaction. I'm going to glue the whole back side of this. There we go. And then attach it right here to the doily. This will be, I like how that looks. And then I've grabbed another fussy cut and I'm gonna turn that into kind of a holder. Let's see, we need to put that lower to hold this shut. And then we can kind of slip it in and out. So let's put a little ink on this. I think I'm gonna go with Vintage Photo. And instead of gluing it down, I am going to use one of these dimensional foam stickers. And just put one of those on here. I'm not sure if I'll need another one. Let's see. I'm gonna put it this way or this way. It's pretty thick, but I think this should work. And I want it just high enough that it's gonna catch that. Oh, I kind of like that, a little off center. So it catches the top of the envelope, but I can pop it in and out. Let's see if my book is gonna close okay. Yes, I have all kinds of room. Super cute. Just to add some decoration, I grabbed a purple button and a little piece of paper left over from all the paper we tore just a little bit ago. And I'm gonna add a little ink to this and pop that on right there. And then let's grab this heart stamp, add some hearts. And then our button. I'll give you a quick close-up. There we go. Now this kind of pops open and shut. Our fussy cut holds our envelope flap into place. Better let my glue dry. And we've got some layers. So the last thing I'd like to do is add a little something to this page while still leaving me room to perhaps add some journaling or other items. I think I'm just going to add some sort of flip. And I'm going to take this piece of digital paper and I'm just going to cut a panel using the leaves at the top of the page. There we go. I like to have a clean top so I can use washi tape or something like that. Make that kind of big. I think I'm gonna fussy cut this out actually. I know I just ripped it, but now I feel like I want this kind of fun uneven edge. And then we definitely want to ink that so that we can make it jump out. Well, I have to announce there's been a change of plans. I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if this might make a really cool belly band. Even with it being flat on top, I think if I glue a couple different places, then I can tuck something right down through there, and I'm excited about that idea, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, and just to kind of rough that edge up without roughing that edge up, I've got a little piece of torn paper. I'm gonna put right along here. I'm gonna very carefully, so as not to glue shut my band. Put some glue along this edge. And all over myself. Let's do that. I'm just gonna tuck this bookmark in here as a finishing touch. And I'm pretty happy with that. I could probably keep going, maybe add some embellishment here, but I think this is where I want to stop for today. I'm actually gonna go ahead and finish this journal on my own and then do a final flip through of it as my next video. I hope you've enjoyed watching this process and that you will keep an eye out for the final flip through video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.